Good evening, everyone, and welcome to A Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 5. Today we have the final matching groups for this particular pairing here. We have from missing playoffs, Sabotander and P-Train, and currently 4 and 7, I believe. I need to check the settings here. Yes, 4 and 9. Sorry, 4 and 9. And we have Beats in the East, represented by Julian and Homemade Beer, who are currently 6 and 7. And neither one of these teams can clinch a playoff spot here in this match, but only one of them can at least force a tie for one. And that is the team in yellow, Beats from the East. How's it going, folks? I am Wolfling0270, and joining me on this final match between these two teams is Professor Renderer. How's it going?
I am doing very good. This is a very exciting matchup here, and yeah, you already wrote it down. On this Week 7 co-op randomizer with a starting boots, there's an enemy shuffle and a full boss shuffle. This will be one chaotic match, or one chaotic mode for a chaotic, possibly a chaotic finish. Should Beats from the East win, they will force a tiebreaker. However, if missing playoffs were to win this one today, it would negate Beats from the East chances of getting a tiebreaker.
We're starting with 20 rupees at both locations that our runners start with. Co-op randomizer, of course. The co-op side of this is what we've seen in the couple past, as we get a fish here from Julanja. That's interesting to note there, as we see a map check over on Homemade Beer side. The fish can give us a random drop, and today it is just a heart. Another thing that fish can be done is if you were willing to walk all the way to the merchant, you could turn it in for an extra item. As we get the fire rod immediately.
Early fire rod is a nice start, and yeah, that turning into the bottle vendor gives you a good supply of bombs, rupees, arrows, and magic. It's a good way to open up if you have a fish along your path.
Yeah, normally you have to go all the way from the dam and carry it all the way to Kakariko to get that fish. But with Randomizer, that makes it a lot less difficult as we find this. Now, of course, Randomizer, as you probably guessed, it's enemy shuffle. And now, just to be crystal clear in terms of any sort of combat logic, maybe like the bow-locked rooms, those logics still apply as we see the Aghanim ledge is only a piece of heart. And we have 3 crystals, well, I believe a red crystal over in desert. Though any logic from the bows still applies to a room, because how this works is that all the item shuffle has happened, and then after all the items are shuffled, then the enemy shuffle happens.
Correct. So you can't you could do the, like say, back of Eastern without a bow, but it still would not be in logic because of the fact that the items are placed first before the enemies are shuffled.
And it may not be in logic anyway, because we do have full boss shuffle as well, as we do see a sword in the mushroom spot here over on P-Train side. Now, what that means, folks, is that we have one of each boss in the item pool, plus 3 duplicates, which represent the 3 duplicates of the Light World bosses in Ganon's Tower. Any 3 bosses can show up an additional time, but other than that, there's at least one of every copy of the boss in any given spot. Which means, if we go to Eastern Palace and we can just get through that without the bow, we could still just straight up fight Trinix there.
Yeah, and for example, there's also certain boss rooms that cannot have certain bosses. Namely, like for example, the Moldorm platform can't have a certain amount of bosses on it.
Yeah, I think about half the item pool for this. And there's the fish right there, as we see it on Homemade Beer. Just getting a full magic, 8 pack of bombs, 10 arrows, and a good amount of other supplies as well.
With that early glove that Sabotander found, it's going to go ahead and take a look at the back of Escape. That is something that will be relayed to P-Train in due time. We do get a small key in the back, along with the map.
Meanwhile, Julanja, finding an early book, has immediately decided to dip into desert.
And we also saw from Homemade Beer's side that there was another sword. So already right out of the gate, 2 swords for the side of Homemade Beer and Beats from the East.
And not only that, both rods are also been found. I believe the Drill Launcher found the one at the dam. Now, we are going to expect some visual glitches here because some monsters just aren't coded to be in the same room as another monster. So that is normal for Randomizer, just as a note.
And as far as our sprites are concerned, we have P-Train rocking his bobblehead Link sprite, Julo Ninja's running Phoenix right, Homemade Beer is running the chicken sprite, and Saboteur is Popoy from, I believe it was Secret of Mana?
Yes, the sprite character from that game. Basically your Black Mage, if I recall correctly.
Right.
And now we have these Gibo shadow enemies here. They are locking the way to the big key chest. There's our map compass, and it immediately reveals the boss of this dungeon. We have a cold start at Desert Palace.
I had a lot of good memories from last year about that cold stare in the spot in Desert Palace, but that's neither here, there, or anywhere. We're talking about this very important matchup here, and we get a blue mail on the big key chest.
Nice find there. So yeah, compasses have additional value here in Randomizer mode, as you just saw there. They show you what the boss is. And we meanwhile have some Henoxes here in Desert as well.
Yeah, and I think this was something that was added in one of the more recent, well, not really recent, but the latest version of version 31.
Go on.
So that means that this was a thing that I saw happening in this before. So version 31's thing where you can see the bosses as soon as you get a compass, and that alone in normal play isn't anything special because, well, the bosses are vanilla, but it does have significance in Randomizer, as we saw with a full boss shovel specifically.
Yeah, even more so in Chaos Shovel, because then there's no restriction on what bosses can show up. There can be as few as 0 or 0 of each, and there can be as many as all of them as the same boss.
All right, so we have our mini Moldorm Cave. We got some Popos taking the role of the mini Moldorms here.
And arrows. The hammer has been found. 20 rupees. The flute. And 50 rupees. A good find there for Homemade Beer.
Among our 4 runners, we just need a Moon Pearl.
Now, as a caveat to the whole item logic supersedes enemy logic, you will never find a red Igor or a red Mimic, I believe they're Gorillas, in this Randomizer shuffle. There's our other male upgrade. Now we know where both are. And this is, of course, to accommodate the fact that we don't want to, the logic and the Randomizer just doesn't want to cause any extra hard required bow logics when that could cause a soft lock.
Correct, yeah. And so we have Homemade Beer activating the flutes here. Now has a bird available to him for fast travel.
And that jar enemy there is normally a trap monster, I believe, in the Dark World. And there are some enemies that only show up here in Randomizer too. I believe there is the Cannonball, the Cannon Guard that went on to be an unused enemy, but they for Randomizer puts them back in the potential pool of spawning.
Yeah, because that Cannonball Guard actually has coding. Already had coding, but for whatever reason went unused in the game. So that's there with its coding intact. Now Saboteur is doing some fake flippering, which is very dangerous in this mode because of the way the enemies can just be placed within reason.
I mean, that is true, and
go ahead.
sorry. I was just going to mention that as you were saying that, we did scout at the bow there on Lake Hylia Island, and we also found bombos on Homemade Beer side.
Yeah, that's some good information to have for on both sides. And yeah, here's what I was kind of mentioning, although to a lesser extreme on Homemade Beer side. Water walking or fake flippering is very dangerous because of the way the enemies are shuffled. That means you could possibly get hit by something like a roller, and you probably wouldn't notice that until it was too late, and you would have to, in the case of a fake flipper, you would have to wait for who knows how long before you have to save and quit. Sabotander will go ahead and activate the flute here. And Homemade Beer will give information to Julodin that the glove is in the secret passage.
Yeah, they're not allowed to look at each other's feet, but they're allowed to at least chat with each other and share that information, hence the co-op side of things.
Yeah, you are verbally allowed to say something, to call out stuff, and you can also, I believe, use a shared document as well if you need it.
I'm certainly, I would think that shared document would come into play during the co-op entrance shenanigans that happened a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, that was week 4 that the co-op retrance was there, and this is also actually a prelude to what we're probably going to see coming into the playoffs, because the co-op retrance will return for the Game 5 decider matchup when playoffs happen.
That's right. We're still a little bit away from that, though. So we still have another week worth of group stages left to go. People jockeying for a better position, and people trying to fight for that playoff spot, like Beats and Knees, and people like Missing Playoffs who are just trying to do some damage here to try to shake things up.
So Jewel Ninja will go ahead and get that glove, and okay.
Here.
Yeah, and talking about playoffs too, with Beats from the East win here, if they were to win, they would eliminate Team Go from playoff contention. However, if Missing Playoffs were to win, it would result in Begone Pot and WJP DTB with playoffs clinches, and then the last playoff spot would either go to JK LOL or Team Go.
Which would mean that if Missing Playoffs wins here, effectively, Beats and Knees is basically removed from contention.
Right.
So, if you want to think of it another way, Beats from the or Missing Playoffs is trying to sabotage Beats from These chances here. That's the only reason they need to win here.
Yeah, and that is correct. I believe while we were discussing that, I believe we saw a bow inside Eastern.
We did, in fact, see a bow in Eastern. So both bows are now accounted for. I believe Eve, the team in blue, does know where the silvers are collectively at this point.
Correct, and I don't know if they'll decide to go for silvers in this case. It is relatively available with just Dark Plexus and Flipper's Mirror for that to be a possibility, as we get Hookshot from Peach Rain inside Eastern. Already 2 items and 2 big ones at that. Yeah,
honestly, I think it'll depend on whether or not we find the Flippers early or late. If we get it early before we do a lot of the bosses that would be really weak to silver arrows, like Helmasaur King, Argus, this Vitreous, they would most likely save a lot of time in those regards and ultimately be worthwhile. Also, this is a very rude Mega Spike placement here in the back of Desert. Right in the doorway. No way I think you can avoid getting damaged there.
Yeah, the only way I would possibly see you if you get it is if you had an invulnerability item coming in, namely a cape, so that you can transfer it between overworld and underworld.
Missing Playoffs, meanwhile, gets lost in the dark there and unfortunately takes a death. And that's really another danger of Randomizer, as you said. Not only is the water walks dangerous, the dark rooms are especially dangerous because you don't know what's in them. There could be a Lionel in there for all you know, I believe.
Yes, and that is very much true. If you have if a Lionel shows up there and you can't see it without a lamp, then that's just damage that you don't know what it would come out. Like, you would think that it would probably come in from like a roller or something. Because you know how high Lionel's damage does.
And Missing Playoffs is going to try to get a little extra magic here for the Cold Stare fight. Does definitely need it.
You do have a Master Sword, so you can do slashes, do sword beams as well. But it looks like Sabatender is not electing to do that.
Yeah, looking to just opt for the slash strats here. Bottle of blue potion from the old man, meanwhile.
Not bad. That was something Sabatender would have liked to see early on. Yeah, and I was going to mention too, the using sword beams when you have a fire rod shot basically does another shot, another hit fire rod shot equivalently, which means you save magic when the shell gets broken.
Yeah, the timing is a little bit weird though, and it may also be like, I wonder if Sabatender couldn't do it because of some like weird way of how the boss room is entered. Like it might have been like an Ancilla thing, but I'm not sure.
I don't think it's.
I don't know it honestly. There could be a superficial reason that I'm just not aware of.
I don't think it's an Ancilla thing because you can still. I think no matter what the room is, you can still do it. I think it really shouldn't matter, but it doesn't matter now because Sabatender does manage to take down Cold Stare with just one heart left to go, and that is a crystal on the board for Sabatender, and the first one for Missing Playoffs, and the first one for this particular race as we get Samaria and Moon Pearl here in the on top of Paradox Cave.
That's right, and with that, we also have Death Mountain or Dark World access for the team in blue. A good advantage to have there. Meanwhile, Homie Beer is opting to use the Bombo strat, so he will have extra magic here.
Bombo strats do work out. You also have Red Mail on Q, so that means you will be having a bit more survivability going into this fight.
Also using the blue potion here to just use fire rod shots. Does get a couple of puffs. Gets with one last cast. Gets the third and final puff. An excellent fight. Eastern Ellis, meanwhile, is Blind the Thief. Taken down pretty quickly. And that is Eastern Palace done. Double pentagram. And we have, meanwhile, a Vanilla Ether Medallion. That's something you don't see every day.
Yeah, that is something that's very uncommon. Yeah, Vanilla Ether. What else you can really say about that? And to answer a question,
I don't. And yes, P-Train did in fact finish Eastern Palace there. I don't know what happened to Renderer for the meanwhile. Looks like we're gonna see a hair pie here in the meanwhile as Julanja heads up to Paradox Cave. Alright, so Sabatender now with the bow here in Eastern Palace. And now heading into there, getting the compass here of Hera. Hera's boss is restricted to quite a bit. I think it's only like a handful of bosses it can be. And it looks like we will have an item in the basement, unfortunately. Unless it is just a one-to-one key. And the boss is another cold stare, which means we will not longer see any more cold stares after this fight up here in Tower Hera.
This one's a little bit more scarier than the one inside Desert, considering the stalactites coming down from the top of the just falling down onto the floor. So, or rather, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. And he does have 2 blue potions, so he's going to try to do the sword tricks.
Yeah,
So it looks like
Good.
So it looks like I was in fact wrong about that. He's got plenty of magic here to burn. He does have another blue potion. And he's opting to use it now. Oh! Okay, good dodge.
This should be good at this point, because now you have one puff down, the other puff down. Julo Ninja will get the information about the vanilla ether. And that's a 3rd puff down for P-Train. That will result in P-Train's first crystal. Now
And that is the last cold stare to fall for at least this side of things. We will not be seeing another cold stare again, and that means there are also 2 other duplicate bosses out there.
And it looked like we did get the second item, and with that being the small key being locked behind itself.
Ah, good. Nothing to worry about there.
Yeah, it's always nice knowing that even though you are going into a fight where if you're going into like a regular fighter, cold stare fighter, or even just that like a Moldorm fight, it's nice to know that you don't need to go back into Hera basement and possibly lose time if it doesn't yield something.
And it's time for Dark World here, and I really like what Disney Players is doing here, sending one person to Village of Alcatraz and the other one to the Hype Cave area of South Dark World.
Yeah, that is a good example of breaking up the duties between the 2 players. One takes care of the top, one takes care of the bottom. And we're seeing that right here with Sabatender entering Hype Cave, or whatever we want to call it here. So far, we do get mids, though. So, in a way, I guess you can consider it a Hype Cave.
Ah, killable thieves. It's about time we were able to kill them. They were stealing items of the Soul Save. Oh, and Jonology unfortunately takes a death to the Cold Stare Puffs. As they just bounced a weird way. Meanwhile, map check here. Swamp Palace is our green pendant. Mire is also a pendant. I missed the 3rd one, but I believe it's one of the northern dungeons.
That was Mire and Pod as the other pendants, with the Turtle Rock being red. And we saw that Swamp Palace green pendant earlier when one of the runners did check Sajrala to get information about the green pendants.
I did in fact miss that. So TR red, Mr. Mire Pod pendants, green at that swamp. So it looks like we may not be seeing the flippers at all this seed. Well, I say that, we still have to do Ice Palace, and they technically require it, but our runners can just easily ignore that with some fake flippers if the enemies there are going to be playing nice, which they may not.
Judging by what I was seeing earlier with the fake flipper plays, I believe from Sabatender, it looked like it was generous enough, but who knows? Maybe for whatever reason, something could just pop up, and we get the information from P-Train as to what the boss says. It is a vanilla moth. So nothing too wild like a helicopter or anything of that sort.
It is unfortunate that we have a vanilla mob. Not only because it's kind of bland for a full boss level, but also because of all the arenas that mob can show up in, that's the worst one.
Yeah,
Without the
Modula.
spikes, mob is a joke. Let's be completely real here.
Yeah, Modula is only tough because of the room that she occupies in. The amount of namely the spikes, that resulting in tier 4 damage, which Mothula, for whatever reason, is programmed to not deal any damage to, like, to not result in any damage, even though it should do that. I don't know why. Or just, you know, like the weird patterns and stuff in the movie floors.
Yeah, just to put it into perspective for those who may or may not be aware, Mothula has as much health as an unmatched Helmosaur King. 4 red slashes will kill them off.
And yeah, and with Gold Sword, it does tempered sword damage to bypass the bug where it does not do any damage on Gold Sword, which that is considered a tier 3 attack.
Alright. P-Train playing very carefully here. Ooh, good dodge.
Yeah, sitting with only a half a heart cannot take any damage here. This is a straight up 1-hit KL mode.
Playing this fight really well.
The patience that P-Train has to try and come up with an opportunity and takes the fall for it.
Yeah, he tried really hard to sneak in that hit there, but unfortunately, that was a risk he should not have taken. Goes down, chooses to reset out, has no magic, is just going to move on to other areas.
This is the second dungeon that P-Train had to leave after taking deaths in. We do find the cape inside Palace of Darkness, and as I mentioned earlier, invulnerability items are a must, like, in this mode. I'm just saying it more so, it's nice to have them in this mode, because who knows what you're going to be facing.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have them, for sure. And the cape in particular, it does lock another check, which we have yet to scout, which is the Mupper Ledge, of course. I didn't see what was in the treasure chest game there, but Julian's is going to be heading into Thieves Town here, giving us our first look. This dungeon can get really hectic in its opening rooms. There's a lot of enemy spawns here. As we get the magic powder as our first item.
It's also, if there's a lot of big enemies, it is very much prone to lag.
Compass meanwhile there, and that looked like it was Land Molas. Meanwhile, Ether required to enter Misery Mire into the seed. Or was that Bombos? I glanced away. I believe... Oh, we got a... There is there in chat covering us. It was, in fact, Bombos. I might have misspoke there.
Okay, so we also found from September that there's the second blind, the second duplicate, and that would be blind.
And that was over in Palace of Darkness?
That was in Palace of Darkness. Yeah, so there's only one more duplicate left that we have not known. My beer will get 3 crystals on the board as Julian makes his way to the back. He's gonna go ahead and check the boss immediately, because he knows about the boss because of what the compass that he saw, so he knows to go straight to the back, because you can still kill the boss go directly to the boss in a full boss shuffle, and you don't have to bomb open the floor, bomb open the ceiling.
Skylight, yeah. And that is the crystal number 2 for Julonja. And we are looking at Turtle Rock here with the mirror. It is to be Quake to enter that dungeon. That is the one medallion we have not seen yet.
Yeah, so that vanilla ether does not come into play here. As we take a look at Hookshot Cave from Homemade Beer, Julo Ninja will get a red boomerang from C-shaped house.
And P-Train just following right in his footsteps. A little bit of a virtual high-five there between the top 2 runners.
We do receive half magic from Homemade Beer side and our lamp.
Lamp, not too useful at this stage, but it will help with the dark rooms, as we mentioned previously. With all the random enemies there, it's going to help a lot.
Yeah, having as many safeties as you can possibly get, like any luxuries or safeties, is very nice to have. Because that mitigates a lot of problems later on. We saw this. We saw problems within Eastern alone. On P-Train's side, and I believe there was one from Beats in the East that also had trouble in that back, I believe. Okay, Homemade Beer will go ahead and take a look here. We'll see the information that Bombos is required to open up Misery Mire, of which he does have. He could potentially open that to take a peek into it and see what it has.
Meanwhile, P-Train potentially can dead rot here inside the dungeon. And there are a couple of Babusus. I actually remember the enemy name now. Here guarding the Skullwood's big chest. And it has a compass, and it's going to reveal that moth, unfortunately, for the yellow team. And 1, 2, and... oh, not quite 3. Quick dive. Oh my goodness, there was just a spike trap there in the middle of the darkness. And that is blind down for the team in blue. Now, of course, if you're not familiar with how we do things here in the randomizer, the teams must all finish, both members, and it is the average time that will decide who wins this race.
Yes.
And if you don't want to do complicated math, good rule of thumb is if both team members finish before, or both first, second, or first, third, they have the better average by default. Now, if it goes let's say Julonja first, and then Busy Playoffs completely in second and third, and then so maybe it brings over, then an average will matter. And we'll leave it to... I don't have any sort of calculator for that sort of stuff.
We saw this come into play with the most recent with a matchup between Validation Chest Boots and TM32 God Routes. With the Zeke, Reiki, and versus Skelly Tiberius race, Zeke was able to give a win in favor of TM32 God Route due to Drake's 1:18:08 finish time. And was 8 minutes to finish the seed before to kill Ganon before that time expired due to Validation Chest Boots coming in second to third.
Pretty tight window. I didn't see that race, so don't spoil it for me, but hopefully that was a good show.
I won't say anything further other than those finishing times.
Fair enough. Mafia down, meanwhile, for Julonja, as Homemade Beer makes some progress in Palace of Darkness, which, with the Palace Shovel, actually looks like it's a little bit dark in there. Not gonna lie.
Peach Rain had the smith in hand in tow, attempting to go into Thieves Town, but was rejected because of that. So it's gonna have to take the smith home first before going into Thieves Town further.
Gonna grab some potions first, though. And yeah, you can't take a follower into the Blind's dungeon. I believe that's because of the whole maiden scenario. With them following you to the boss room.
We
Well,
will see. Oh, yeah, you were.
I think we were both gonna say we're checking the magic powder here.
Yeah, that I was just gonna comment. Yeah.
Same brain.
Like by instinct alike. All right, we're gonna see what this magic bat brings out for Peach Rain. It is just gonna be a 20 rupee.
Yeah, nothing too crazy there, but maybe the smith himself will have something.
Well, looks like Peach Rain forgot to take the smith home, so it's gonna go ahead and do that now. And Smith is gonna give out a 5 rupee.
And where is Peach gonna go next? It looks like he's just gonna flute over to the 3 to speed up a little bit of travel time to getting over to the purple chest. Meanwhile, Spike HF here for missing playoffs. Half magic was found. I did not quite see where it was.
It was in Hookshot Cave.
Ah.
And there's
our flippers. So silvers are available, and I'd say with the bosses we've seen thus far, it's a pretty good time to go get those silvers, I'm gonna be honest.
Without mirror.
Oh right, we still need the mirror. That's right. Forgot about that.
Yeah, without mirror, we still are still holding out for that mirror so that we can get those silvers. Now, with that mirror in play, that does mean Swamp would also be open should that mirror pop up. And I would like to believe that that finding that mirror might be a problem. So Peach Rain will go back to try again to face on that moth. And it looks like maybe Saboteur wanted to go into ice. Yeah, that's fine. You have flippers already. You got flippers just recently. You might as well take a look at ice while it is now in proper logic.
Yeah. So I think it's a double-edged sword with the whole flipper's mirrors. On one hand, you get silver arrows, on the other hand, you get music caught me off guard there. On the other hand, you also get access to Swamp, like you mentioned. But the thing I want to bring up is the remaining bosses. A lot of them are things like Helmosaur King, Vitreous, Argus, the Armos Knights. Pretty much half of the remaining bosses that can still show up are gonna be one shot, if not two shot, by those silver arrows. So it'll make a lot of the remaining boss fights significantly better. So if the mirror does show up, they can put something in Swamp. But at this point, we have most of everything in terms of weapons we need. We just need the Quake Medallion, in fact, to be in an effective sort of go mode scenario here, actually, now that I look at this.
Yes, and then there's also the case of that sword that was found on the floating islands. So you have these two big weapons like Tempered and Silvers locked behind Mirror. And you're hoping that Mirror shows up at around the time when you enter go mode, so that way you can get one or the other. Pretender and Homemade Beer will go ahead and do some Icebreaker to pass through that barricade. Homemade Bear gets it done. Finds the bug nets in the big key chest.
And we'll see what else he gets down here. And we find Quake. That is go mode.
Yep, that is go mode for Homemade Beer. Well, still needs to get the ice rod, but he knows. I don't know if he specifically has it here or he still has to get it. But this is a go mode scenario. Okay, yeah. So our tracker Sorcerer Finch does say that he does have that ice rod. So they are in go mode. Jewel Ninja's gonna head straight over to Ice Palace now, and this means that flippers aren't necessarily well, they are logically required, but you can bypass the flippers.
Yeah, and also, in addition to that, both teams are now in go mode as a result of this. This is going to be a very close race, folks.
Yeah,
I think in terms of advantage, though, based on the trackers, Missing Playoffs is behind a couple of bosses on Sabotender's side specifically. So,
yes.
Beast of the Eats is in the lead here, effectively.
Yes, it's the case of Sabotender only has one boss clear right now, and Peach Rain only has done 3. So that makes up a collective total of 4 crystals amongst Missing Playoffs. As we find Armos here inside of the Cold Slayer boss room. Yolo Ninja and Homemade Beer making up Beats from the East, meanwhile, has 6, will soon go up to 8. So you have this fairly decently sized lead going in the favor of Beats from the East. And this is especially the case when Beats from the East needs to win this to at least get a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's going to be really important here. And here we go. Homemade Beer is on his way. 4 bosses down. Skullwoods, Thieves Town, and Turtle Rock. We don't know the boss of Turtle Rock, though.
So this is very much a big deal for this is going to be as close as a race as you're going to possibly get here on SpeedGaming Prime, and when both are trying, or all eyes are on this important race. Just to kind of clarify, to add on to further what I was saying with Beats from the East, and just to do a slight recap. Should Beats from the East take a win here, they at least get a tie for 4th, and they are in a decent spot to get a playoff spot, but it's not guaranteed. They would also eliminate Team Go from playoff contention. But if Missing Playoffs were to win, this would mean Beats from the East would not be making it into the playoffs, and gives Begone Pot and WJP DTB playoff spots, and then it would either go to JK LOL or Team Go.
Yeah. Now, meanwhile, Beats from the East does not lock a playoff spot for themselves with a win here, as we mentioned previously. But the worst case scenario is they can tie for position 4.
Yeah, as both of our teams are not in positions to get playoff spots, especially Missing Playoffs, as they are sitting in last place, which means at the end of the season they will be relegated back into Open League. Which rather means they're not guaranteed a invite spot, which effectively means they're back in invites, or yeah, open.
All right, simultaneous crystal grabs from Jewel Lunge and Homemade Beer. Meanwhile, Missing Playoffs finishes off Ice Palace with P-Train, and Sabotender's got a lot of work ahead of him. Going to Eastern Palace now, looking to get a 3rd clear.
Yeah, this is just the case where we are just seeing that those clears going out right now for Beats from the East. Jolo Ninja will head into Desert Palace next, Turtle Rock will be the next one, and then Tower of Hera will finish things off because you can just mirror. Well, no, you can't really. You don't have a mirror, right? But if you had mirror come in, like say out of Turtle Rock, you would mirror to Tower of Hera. So it would be Desert, then Hera, then Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and the nice thing here is that Julondra can do a little bit of scouting in advance of Homemade Beer, who will likely hit Turtle Rock second, and just tell them where all the keys are so that they can speed each other through the dungeon. Now, the one worry I have currently, and this is just a minor one, look at the health situation on all 4 of our runners here. This seed is going to be particularly rude in terms of combat, with them only having, at most, with the Homemade Beer is the most healthiest person with 7 hearts red mail. Actually, do they even have red mail? I think they're still in blue.
I think they should have red mail, I believe, but I don't know. It might just be blue mail. Like, for all I know, I don't know this particular sprite in particular as well. I know Julo Ninja is on blue mail because of the green coat that Phoenix Wright has. If there was red mail, you would be wearing a red coat, not too similar to Miles Edgeworth.
Oh boy, that's a party and a half for there guarding the boss to Eastern. A lot of Hinoxes here. Using good use here of the Ether Magic there, fastest cast animation, and forces these enemies into a state in which they can be hammered. And down goes the Moth here in the dungeon. That is going to give us the 6th crystal here, and Homemade Beer is on his way up the mountain. And it looks like it might actually be Julondra here. I think that actually without the mirror, it'll be faster for Julondra to go to Hera first.
Correct. And this was what I was mentioning in the past. Like, it would, for Julo Ninja's sake, it would be Desert, Hera, then Turtle Rock. Homemade Beer is just going to be Turtle Rock. Homemade Beer will go ahead and stop to get some potions. That's always a fair play. It doesn't hurt to get potions at any point in the run. Julo Ninja takes down the Cold Slayer that's lurking in Desert Palace. Setting up, and yeah, this is a very, very low percent fights here. And this, I believe, just shows how comfortable these runners are on these low percent situations. Julo Ninja is sitting with 5, P-Train sitting with 6, along with Sabatender. And as you mentioned, Homemade Beer is sitting healthy at 7, presumably either red mail or blue mail. I don't know.
We see a menu there. We can confirm that, but yeah, but no matter what here, this is going to be a pretty tough road as going forward, as our runner here in the bottom right is now going to be entering Turtle Rock.
This might be helpful for Homemade Beer because he'll be looking to go ahead into this dungeon and may get some information about if Mirror would be there, but at this point, I don't think it should matter.
If the Mirror is in here, then they could potentially reroute slightly, but I think it's only going to affect GT routing at this stage. I think you're right there.
Yeah, it's just gonna...
But if they do get Mirror, they can also grab make a small detour and grab the Tempered Sword for a much easier cannon fight.
Yes.
And potentially any bosses that are going to be randomly shuffled upwards into GT.
Yeah, but as far as Tower of Hera is concerned, well, we're seeing it right here with Julo Ninja doing the Hera Pot, Spin Speed Hera Pot to get up to that Cold Stare that's sitting at the top of the tower. This is just going to be a quick dungeon for Julo Ninja, and it's just one of the things that, like, it's only, as you mentioned, it's just only going to affect GT routing and possibly get a Tempered Sword. Now, We don't know where the fourth and final sword is specifically. So if you find it here in TR or in GT, then you're set, because that way you don't have to worry about a Master Sword serverless fight ahead of you. Basically, just fighting for a potential tiebreaker in this stage of the race.
Moldorm, sorry, I keep getting those bosses mixed up. Goes down here. Wait, no, it's not even Moldorm, is it? It's a Cold Stare up there.
The Moldorm room.
I broken down there a little bit in laughter. Moving on. Hopefully we're finishing up the change timers here. Oh no!
Oh, and this is Sabotender did not want to die there.
Oh, does Sabotender die? I was looking at Homemade Beer dealing with red guards, which are very aggressive.
Yeah, Sabotender did not want to. Sabotender had died on what looked like the vanilla. What looked to be the vanilla. What am I saying? On the vanilla moth.
And yeah, with 2 keys on the front, I believe the key steal is going to be happening here in Turtle Rock. And here comes Blind for P-Train meanwhile. Then number 2 at the Moth here for Sabotender.
With Jewel Ninja's completion of Tower of Hera, you'll now enter the Turtle Rock, and will be in a very solid position here, because with that clear, almost being ready here, Homemade Beer about to enter the Dark Maze as Sabotender finishes up the Skull Woods dungeon, getting that crystal on the board.
Meanwhile, Sabotender has to just go kill the Lambolas quickly. He still has to go kill Cold Stare at
Hera.
The Moldorm spot, and then go to the Turtle Rock, which we don't even know what the boss of Turtle Rock is yet.
We do not know what that is, unless we did see a map check and we got a compass and we missed it.
Compass was fairly late. It was in the big chest, so.
Okay, then we might have missed it then. I don't know if we did see a map check going in, but or maybe that map check's being held back in favor of maybe seeing it blind or after the laser bridge.
While laser bridge is paying out with a map of 300 rupees, using the key for safety, heart piece, and last but not least, a small key on laser bridge.
It had to show up there eventually. So Homemade Beer relaying the information about the key placement. And yeah, it looks like, I don't know if it's just me, this might just be a blind check of the boss.
Well, they have everything they need, so it makes sense. And behind the door is Trinex himself! And hopefully this is the only Trinex we are dealing with. There's still one duplicate boss out there we have yet to see. Nice catch there, preventing the ice set from firing. We'll make this fight a little bit easier in Phase 2. Let's see if we can get a double spin here on Homemade Beer side.
Nice finish.
Yeah, very nice. Double spin there to lock up Trinex for the first 2 hits, and then hit 3 hammer swings to finish it up. That is the last boss down. It is just 3 bombs. So no mirror in sight. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a game we like to play. We're going to be going on homemade beer side here. What chest do you think that big key is going to be in?
From 1 to 22, get a number in chat. Where do you think that big key is? And if you are the first person to get it exactly or closest to it, either above or below, then we say good on you.
That's right. Now, if you're really cruel, you don't want to say a 22 because of Tower Room. You want to say a, like, 14, 15, 16, around that range, because that forces us to fight the boss on ice.
Yes, and we still don't know. We already know 1 Trinex, which means if the final if that final duplicate spot is Trinex, it is on. If it's on ice, then oh boy, here we go. All right.
Yeah, that fight can be a decider.
Game is closed now, starting with 100 rupees. Number 2, 10 bombs. We're forced to go left.
Unless we are forced to go into Tower Room here. Number 3 coming up here on the torch. This counts whether or not we pick it up. It is a small key. That would not be a bad idea to grab.
So there's no Bob, even though I guess really it's kind of a question whether or not Bob will show up in its regular spot.
You can have Bob show in Desert, actually, now that I think about it.
True.
Anyway, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. 4 is the map. 5 is a small key. 6 is 20 rupees. 7 is 50 rupees.
We're gonna go left.
And we should mention here, folks, because you may think, oh, they're not going to fight Aghanim 2 at the top of the tower. Both Aghanims and Ganon are not shuffled in full boss shuffle. It is just the main dungeon bosses.
Correct. Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for a Ganon to just show up on, let's say, like, Armos Knights or whatever. Or either of the Agatus. Or either of the Agatus.
I'm loving the guard placements here in the castle. Just the bush guard there. That was, and meanwhile, getting number 8, there was a twin in Horsehead Knight guard, and they just duplicated as soon as they got hit once. It was hilarious. Anyway, chest number 9 here coming over to the firebar room, and it's just Babusa's guarding this one. And it's just another small key. I think it means we've seen 3 small keys on the left side. So here we go, randomizer room. I've lost count.
10 through 13.
10 through 13, thank you. Number 10, heart container, much needed. 11, 20 rupees. Piece of heart, 20 rupees. That heart container is definitely going to come into play there. Or I would not be surprised if, oh, that is in a weird spot. I'm not sure if anyone decides to go get that, but it should help, would not hurt.
Yeah, I think you're dealing with a low percent situation, and you're also dealing with the fact that you're in a possible spot for a Master Sword serverless fight. And as we all know, like, no matter what mode it is, a Master Sword serverless fight is never fun. And there's Mirror.
Oh my goodness, Mirror at the very end of the dungeon here. And it is, in fact, Argus on ice. Hello there, Argus.
And we've not seen this boss at all.
No. Now, there is a restriction coming up here in GT, I believe due to coding, even though we've seen the second blind already. If a blind were to show up for some reason, they are not allowed to show up in the Lambo 2 fight. That is one of the exclusive restrictions to the mode. To the full wall shuffle. I believe that is because the whole grouping of floors is considered one big room on that floor, and as a result, it just blind just messes with it. Anyway, there it is! Vanilla Big Key! Along with a shovel and a heart container.
So that was
15, I believe.
Yep, that would be 15, and our residents, our helper with chat Nustria taking number 15. So good on you. And we are getting Tempered Sword because of that mirror. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes incredible sense. Just a small old detour here to save a lot of time later going up the tower. I am all for it. Just give yourself that combat advantage.
Yeah, that is a very reasonable call to make. I very much agree with this call. You know where it is. You might as well just take what you see and just run.
Yeah, because you still have a second Trinex coming up here that could be on the Lambo 2 for Frina, and you don't know what could be up there. You could be fighting a Helmosaur King in the third spot. No matter what, though, having a Tempered Sword is going to be ideal here, especially because if you think about the long term here, it would be a Master Sword Silverless fight. And in terms of how fast the fight goes over Ganon, a Tempered Silverless fight is going to be overall faster than a Master Sword fight with Silvers. So overall, this was a great heads-up play by Homemade Beer. This very likely will allow them to get the W here if they can keep up this pace.
Okay, so Homemade Beer will go ahead and claim here, and Julo Ninja will be on the way to Argus. And the nice thing about Argus here in the ice Armos room is that you just, as we saw from Homemade Beer, you only just need to hookshot the puffs so that the doors will open.
Yeah, a bit of a quirk here with how the fight goes, because Argus will just jump up, and that counts as him leaving the room.
I think it does earlier than that. I noticed the doors opening earlier than the Argus just floating up.
I think he's intangible in this phase, and then he switches out to his actually damageable phase.
Then that would make more sense for it to register. Okay, yeah, this is a kill room. You killed all the enemies. Now open the doors. That's just typical game behavior.
Yeah. It has something weird to do with how the phases transition, which it's a little confusing, but it makes a lot of sense. So yeah, Argus can't be hurt in this phase, so you can just skip him. And that's also another reason why we would use the mirror, because if you didn't use the mirror here to leave and go get the sword, you'd have to go out and you have to refight Argus. So overall, this saves a lot more time.
Yeah, and this is great information for Julo Ninja because he knew from what Homemade Beer said that the big key's behind you. Just kill the boss first, then grab the big key, then get your sword. And with this particular situation that we're dealing with, we're gonna need all the help that we're gonna get. Like they're gonna need all the help that we're gonna get.
Vitreous, meanwhile, showing up here at the top of the tower in the Lambo 2 fight. Only one boss left in Molten 2, and ironically enough, I think the only boss we haven't seen is Helmosaur King himself.
Yes, and Helmosaur King is one of those bosses where it can show up on Moldorn 2.
Yeah, in fact, let me double check here. Cold Stare's out because we've already had 2 Cold Stares. I don't think Trinex is allowed to be in that arena. We could have... Oh no, we haven't seen Moldorm yet. Moldorm could just be in there. So it's either Moldorm, Helmosaur King, a copy of Vitreous, or... I forget the 5th boss thing would be there.
I don't know them in particular, just like off the top of my head.
I want to say it's another. I don't think it's a. Is it the moth? I don't remember. Either way, we're about to see the boss here coming up here on Homemade Beer's side.
Yes, and with the fact that you have that tempered sword online, we're not seeing him grab anything else, but we will see the pre-Moldorm chest because I guess why not?
And there it is, Helmazor King. Bombs are the way to go in this fight, honestly.
We mentioned it. I mentioned it, and we're gonna go for the bomb strats, or as I like to call it, I think the Nintendo Power kind of method, or like it was in one Nintendo related thing that showed that particular strategy.
Whatever works. This is a very narrow arena, and there we go. Helmazor is down. That is the final boss to fall here for Homemade Beer, and Julanja is on his way up as well, going through the gauntlet, as we like to call it.
Moldorm
and a
2,
full heart recovery as well, so there's more health for Julanja at the top.
Yeah, the Sankar coming out of the Moldorm 2 chest, very much a very nice find as you end the run here. That is very good to have that knowledge on.
And it's going to be very important heart for Julanja in particular to pick up, because I believe Ganon's contact damage is a full 8 hearts on Blue Mail. So picking up that heart will put Julanja out of one-shot range from any sort of accidental little hug from the Big Pig.
That does sound about right.
I believe it is, Ganon has the highest damage source in the entire game with his contact damage. I know that much. And I believe the chain chomps are second, and it's a full 8 hearts on Green Mail.
Alright, Homemade Beer will drop that into the Ganon fight on a very comfortable tempered sword and silverless fight. You don't need to worry about those silvers in particular. They know about it, and they don't see a need to pick it up, considering how far away it would be.
Alright, into phase 2 here with the Ganon fight here on Homemade Beer. Into phase 3 now. And Homemade Beer is low on magic, but does have the lamp and half magic, so this should be a straightforward fight. Oh, that is a mega spike on the... Ooh, I didn't see that before.
Yeah, this is pretty much that's a classic spot for that. Tricky problem. You do not have Julanja does not have a Julanja does not have the cape, so he has gonna have to do a very roundabout way to get it. He cannot die here.
I believe there's help in this room here, but he's gonna just play it safe. Meanwhile, Homemade Beer is getting through this.
There is an anti-fairy here. There, help has arrived.
All right, very good, very good. And yeah, gonna get the buff and an extra blue potion. I didn't see that either. I don't think Homemade Beer opened that chest. That's a really great find for Julanja, as Homemade Beer comes in first here for the race for Beats for the East. He's locking this up.
Yeah, GG's to Homemade Beer.
Meanwhile, it looks like Missing Playhouse is in fact also doing the similar strat, going to go get that Tempered Sword.
Yeah, so Homemade Beer has finished first with an official race time.gg time of 1:36. So Jewel Ninja will have to take second, and if Beats from the East wants to win this all, he does take a fall by looks like a contact damage from Helmazor King.
Yeah, They're not the winners of this race yet, of course. They still need to lock in second or third here on Julanja, and that will assure them an average win in via time. Julanja has to go to hammer stress, though. Just ran out of bombs here. This is going to be a very dangerous fight. High chance of falling here. Playing it extra safe, hiding behind the Helmslor King. He's put to use his tail swipe. There he goes. Down goes Helmslor King. And good recovery there from Julanja. And I don't think he's gonna say no to this heart container. There he goes.
No, especially considering it's the Sank Heart. It's an immediate refill. It's good enough to at least get something here. It's worth the pull Moldorm 2 chest in this regard.
Yeah. Now the question is Saboteur or Petrin gonna do that too? They're both open special rooms. And Saboteur, Petrin in particular, is having a little bit of trouble here with the torches. I think, in fact, he actually did miss one of the torches, but is setting up to get it again. And down goes Aghanim 2 for Julanja going to the Ganon fight. And Saboteur is going to take his time here to get an extra fairy. And we can see where the shovel was there, even though it was in GT. It was only going to be some money.
This is very much important for Julanja to finish ahead of missing playoffs here. Julanja will drop down into the Ganon fight. P-Train is going to hover. It looks like he got like a few pixels over, but just fell. I don't think he may just die. It may have just lost the grip and fell. And he is out of bombs. He's gonna have to go with a hit on the shield or the helmet. Julanja does take a death onto Ganon, but does have that fairy right there. Now into phase 3. As Sempitender is working towards the Lamo 2 room.
Yep, phase 3 meanwhile here for Julanja. Setting up for a quick fourth hit. There it goes. Ganon needs to move though. This is a really bad position. And we see meanwhile was on Ped. It said it's a rupee hoard. I believe that means it was one of the 300 rupee stashes.
That sounds correct. Alright. Spinning for Julanja. Just needs to get those spins done so that Beast from these at least gets a tiebreaker.
Now, you might see Ganon raise his hands there. That is the window to hit Ganon for a Silver the Strike. It is a pretty tight window there, but the spin attack has such a long active hitbox that you can hit it pretty consistently. And down goes Ganon there. That will be a 1-2 sweep for Beats in the East, who will not clinch a playoff spot once again, but will at least force a tie in the division, which will likely let them continue playing here. Ladies and gentlemen, get your G's in your tats for Beast from the East. Julanja coming in second with a time of
1:12:29. This also means with this win from Beats from the East, Team Go has been knocked out of playoff contention.
Yes, and at worst, Beast from the East will be tying for that fourth playoff spot. And will be more than likely to move on with this position they're in. we'll have to wait and see on that.
Yeah,
But
this was a...
Blizzing,
Go ahead.
Blizzing playoffs, us were already last place in this league. They had no shot at making playoffs. They were at least trying to prevent Beast Knees from moving on to playoffs here, but it looks like this is going to be their last game here in the Invitational, at least for now. They could come back, and maybe they'll even win the Open League and get invited back in Season 7. We don't know this yet.
Yeah, that is far, far, far away in the future for that possibility to occur. We're right now just focusing on this week 7 these week 7 matches. And yeah, there's a lot of things going on there. I should also mention too that Lost Woods division is a very, very tight race. As we get GG's out for P-Train, we'll be finishing this race out as Sam Pretender will drop into the Hemisar King fights here on top of Moldorm 2. He will finish a third with official race time.gg time of 1:14.22.
Yeah, I'm just now looking at the Lost Woods division. It looks like all the playoff places have been decided. But that shows just how strong that division was. Because I'm seeing, at the very least, he's 15 points across the board.
Yeah,
that was a very well contested grouping.
Yeah, as it stands, the remaining bottom 4 are trying to avoid relegation. That's the main kicker. All right, Sabotender will go ahead and pick up the Sank Heart from Moldorm 2's chest, and especially a very especially needed thing to find because of that. Sabotender coming out with only a half of heart after that fight had concluded. Going into the Aga 2 fight now.
All right. Now these two teams are done for the for the group stages here, and they are waiting and Beast from the East is at least waiting their playoff phase, as we mentioned, folks. But while we have a moment here, while we're waiting for the game fight to conclude, I do want to mention something here regarding the schedule, in which we do have. Actually, we don't have any more matches tonight. We do have one that was running alongside us over on SpeedGaming 3, so we don't know how far along that one is. But yeah, Wednesday as early as 2 o'clock, expected on the match. Restream, of course, still to be determined tonight, at least for the Invitational side of things. And here we go with the Ganon fight for Sabotender.
Let's be honest. I'll also say right here, this is one way to end a playoff, or sorry, not playoff, end the regular season in the league. Co-op Randomizer is without a doubt one of the most fun modes that are in the league in this regular season schedule, and it's always a point of joy for some people, as Sabotender does take a Ganon hug on that fight. Does have the fairy will be revived here.
Yeah, and to both teams' credits here, the Gobo was almost back-to-back within, like, maybe 30 seconds at the most. This was just an insanely close race here. The difference was the amount of dungeons cleared for both teams when the Gobo was found. That's all it came down to.
Yeah, it was a very tight race through and through. It was anyone's race at that point. It was just I would say it's just the dungeon advantage that Beats from the East had over missing playoffs. All right, phase 4 for Sabatender.
Let's get the torch switch here. Gotta start through the spins. Also, an interesting note about the seed, I believe. I don't think we had to touch any of our pendant dungeons.
No, we never touched the pendant dungeon, period.
I think someone was in pod at one point, but I don't think there was anything in there that was important.
No, it was no, yeah, like we only touched like I think we touched one pendant dungeon, and that was used. You mentioned pod, but as far as Swamp and Mire's concerned, we never touched it. Yeah, so GG's out for Sabatender being the last one to finish here, and we'll finish this race in 4th place with an official race time.gt time of 1:19:27.
Yes, an amazing showing from all 4 of our runners. Make sure you do follow them here as we are getting our runners in here for their interview.
Yeah, it was a very, very tough fought match. It was honestly a great experience to race, or at least to watch this race here. And we'll see. We are getting everyone here, and welcome all of our runners, both missing playoffs and Beats from the East. GG's, and congratulations to Beats from the East for taking this win.
Yo, GG's, guys.
GG's.
GG's.
What was that?
Yeah, who knows, man?
That was very, very fast.
Yes, it was. Some
Some
went fast.
Yeah, wow.
Some went faster than others, so props to these guys for doing a great job. I was bringing up the rear there. Yeah, that's okay though.
I think I bought a blue goo after every dungeon, basically.
That's the strategy. Yeah.
You think that would have been enough?
Yeah. Well, and then I got one off of the old man rescue, and like, okay, that'll be enough, right? And then I ended up using another one later. I'm like, I'll just buy another one. It's fine.
I had 2 of like the rudest moth fights I think I've ever had, and then the murder dactyl like right outside the boss room didn't help either.
In Skull Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I went back there with like maybe 2.5 hearts, and I was like, no, I think I can do that. And then the murder dactyl like took me out like right in front of Moth, so I dropped down there with half a heart, and he just wouldn't come down. He just stayed on the top row, so I just had to. And I mean, I think I did a good job, but you can't last forever in that room, and eventually I took damage.
You did a pretty good job, honestly, yeah. And a couple of Mega spaces were kind of rude there. The one in Desert and the one in the first Fire Rod room of GT.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
big
bird
spike.
and the spike, yeah. That's classic. An Randomizer classic, right?
it's always there, right? Like, when is it not there?
Yeah. Only when the cape's in a pendant dungeon that you don't need to touch.
Yeah.
Then there was the murder dactyl on the way to GT that the first time whacked me, and then the second time after grabbing the sword, I bonked and it flew off screen. And like, oh, that's the trick. You just bonk. This is fine.
Speaking of, I completely forgot that I didn't have a mirror going into GT, so I tried to do DM strats, which ended up just being full left, which was fine. It worked out, but I was really sweating finding the last sword in Hope Room, which I never even checked. But I was like, man, if there's either a mirror or sword in Hope Room, then I just feel terrible.
So it's funny you say that, because this was something that would have actually been useful. There was the Uncle Bombs in Hope Room, which actually would have been super useful on the climb, of all things.
Oh.
Well,
Of all
for me,
stupid
it
things
didn't
you
have
could
10 bombs.
Yeah. You could tell it was a Helmo climb and everyone's out of bombs at the end.
Yeah, I was shocked that the vanilla Trinex and the Trinex wasn't duped in GT. I was very happy to see Argus on ice.
Yeah. Especially with like, oh, here's the mirror. Cool, we can get You know, because we talked about it and we're like, it's so much more worth grabbing that Ember just for the climb alone.
Oh, definitely. We both got it as well.
Mhm.
Oh, you got the flippers. Where did the flippers show up?
Spike Cave.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I told you.
Yep.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to me that when Sabo found which we didn't know the Turtle Rock medallion, so there was that. But in reality, when Sabo found Mitts, we were Quake for Go mode. We didn't know it at the time, but we were. And we had already decided, like I was doing Village of Outcast stuff, and Sabo was going to route Hype Cave to Pod. And it didn't even occur to me when he found Mitts. It's like, oh wait, you could fake flipper into ice. And if you do that, you get Quake, and then you go check the mountain, and you're in Go mode. And you don't have to do like a lot of the crap that we did.
Yeah, we had found. Well, we found Bombos in Pyramid Ferry, and then on the way into
Waterfall Ferry, beer.
Waterfall Ferry. Sorry.
I was wondering how you pulled that one off.
Dang,
you're just flexing on us at this point.
Yeah, and then when we were finishing up Light World, get the Moon Pearl, all that stuff, we were looking at it like, well, we're probably in Go mode with the Mitts, right? Because we kind of figured it out super early. We had 2 medallions. This is fine. And then so I got the Mitts and save and quit immediately. Check. It's like, oh no, it's just Quake. Okay, fine. Let's go. Let's go keep doing stuff. But then Jula was cleaning up West Dark World and just doing like literally everything over there. And I'm like, well, let me just go do random checks then. I did Mire Shed. I did just whatever stupid checks, and then dipped Pod. I think it looks like Sabatender did the Pod play as well. I'm like, wait, we can just go beat ice. Let's go beat ice. Okay. Oh, there's Quake.
Yeah, and the funny thing about finding the Quake is both teams actually found Quake like roughly within 30 seconds to a minute of each other. So you all were in Go mode pretty much at the exact same time.
Oh
wow. Oh. Dang.
I guess we probably had different dungeons done and stuff at that point. Like,
probably, yeah. Well,
yeah, we both took a death in the back of Skull.
Yeah.
Death in the back of Eastern early. I think Sabo, you mentioned taking a death.
Oh, that back of Eastern was nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, the thief and the dart got me.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
That room was weird. You go and hit the switch and it doesn't get hit, and then on the way out you get hit by something and you're like, what? And then a thief hits you.
There was a green beanbag that you had to, like, when you walk over it peeps out and then jumps out.
Oh.
So
okay.
So I think it was between that, the anti-fairy, and the thief. And it wasn't until I was like on half a heart that I even realized the thief was in the room, because I just kept seeing like a bomb fly out. Yeah. And I was like, oh, there's a Hinox here. But I'm like, but then why am I not dead? And, just the confusion of it all. Next thing I know, I'm dead. Oh, well, rip. Hopefully there's no serious progression in Eastern.
Yeah.
I see your tag today is PT Rain. Do you always do PT Rain, or is it because it's raining, like you said, in the race? I forget what you do for...
oh, no, I always put my name there.
Oh, well, I didn't know if you put it there.
I'm not clever like that. We got rid of the Tornado Watch. Now we just have a Flood Watch. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good times.
I mean, it's more than... It's more simple as just me writing my name in Japanese.
Mm.
I write the renderer parts in katakana and then the professor part in hiragana. Because there's no kanji.
Nice.
Well, I can't read that, so I never would have known that without you telling me.
Yeah, it's
right on.
Rindara Hakase. So
cool.
professor renderer.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know if I have anything else to say about that one. GG's again, boys. Good luck. Are you guys in playoffs?
So the situation here, I believe, was that neither one of you two could clinch a playoff spot here.
Okay.
Oh,
but
man.
these of these, I believe, at worst.
To me. That's news to dang, I was really hoping for dang, man.
But Beast of the East, with the win here, does at least, at the worst, force a tie for one of them.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
by extension, that also eliminates Team Go from playoff contention.
Yep.
All right.
I like how we are gaining nothing from participating in the league, but we're just making sure that no one else has fun either.
Yeah,
Well,
total spoilers here.
Well, this is the interesting thing here, P-Train, because if you guys beat Beast in the East tonight, you would have actually knocked them out of contention for a playoff spot.
Wow, that would have felt pretty bad, I guess. So we're just trying to help you guys out. We want you guys to move.
Just gonna take our ball and go home.
Oh yeah, it's really wonky, isn't it? Cool.
Right.
All right. Good for us.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
good for our division. Maximum chaos. That's all we want out of random. That's why we play this game.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna take it as a sign of a balanced division.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
So kudos to the admins, which I guess I'll grandstand a little bit since this is our last race. Shout outs to the admins and everyone who makes this happen. Always a fun time. I say that as someone's getting relegated. Still had a blast racing with friends. Modes were an interesting choice, but I got to skip swordless, so I won't be too salty about that. Yeah, just a really good time. Looking forward to hopefully participating in the Open League next year. Hopefully we won't be gone from the Invitational too long. And yeah, GG's Beats from the East. GG's the entire Skullwoods division. And yeah, enjoyed it.
Yeah. GG's to you guys as well. And looking forward to watch more of your races, of course.
No. And with that, I think I have to head off. So appreciate it. Appreciate the restream. GG's again. And I'll catch y'all later.
Yep, GG's to you, P-Train. As well, for the rest of you, any final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
Just echoing that. Thanks for the restream and comms tracking, setting it all up, and admins for throwing this all together. This has been a fun season so far. I'm curious to see what'll happen next. I was just flipping through the points layout, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a lot that needs to happen in a lot of different ways. So, looking forward to finding out.
Yes. Hopefully you do guys make it to the playoffs, and we'll see some more of your matches from you.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to see. Folks, make sure to follow our 4 running shows tonight, putting on an excellent race for us tonight. Also, Roy Alpha Cheese and Sorcerer Finish, when our 2 trackers tonight, keeping those items up today for you. Shoutouts to our trackers, and of course to my co-commentator, Professor Renderer, for keeping this up. Folks, also make sure to follow SpeedGaming and SpeedGaming 2 through 6 so you don't miss any racing action, not just the Link's Best Randomizer League. And of course, we've been talking about it, the Open League. Some of these teams are going to go back down to the Open League for next season. You'll usually catch those on the ALTTPR League and the ALTTPR League 2 through, I believe it's 4, 6? I don't remember how many channels there are.
I think it's like 3.
It's 3?
I think it's 3. I don't remember.
I don't remember either. But we do host those races as well. Well, and they're no less exciting than these. So make sure you check them out. No, and that's going to do it for us here. So from all of us here at the Link's Best Randomizer League, I have been WolfLink0370, and we just see you all next time, and thank you for watching. Have a good night, everyone.
Take it easy, y'all.